Welcome back. I'm MTG Joe, and today I'm going to be streaming live on Twitch. I'm learning or kind of giving in and playing Scapeshift. I picked this deck up last night after playing a bit of the Bant ramp deck. I already had most of it in place, just had to pick up the Scapeshifts. This deck's broken. It is probably one of the most powerful decks I've played on Arena up to this point. The combination of Teferi just backed up with like crazy grind value and combo finish really kind of just overpowers whatever your opponent's doing. So quick walkthrough of the deck. At any point, those tuning in live, if you do miss any of my content, you can catch all my replays on my YouTube channel, MTG_Joe, trying to be a bit more active on the live stream side on Twitch here. But if you want to catch any of my replays, you can always tune in on YouTube. We do a bunch of stuff there. If you're there, make sure to subscribe and follow on Twitch as well. So the deck itself, what are we trying to do? This is basically a ramp deck with a combo finish to it. So we have a number of early ramp effects in terms of Arboreal Grazer to put lands into play, Growth Spiral, Elvish Rejuvenator, Grow from Ashes, and Circuitous Route. So that's basically get ahead on lands. We have a lot of lands that come into play tapped, with the caveat of us needing 7 different names of lands. And where we're playing to this is with Field of the Dead. So Field of the Dead enables this Scapeshift ability. So basically when you have 7 or more lands, Field of the Dead creates a 2/2 zombie whenever a land comes into play. So what you effectively do is you ramp up, and then you cast Scapeshift, sack all your lands, and then get multiple Field of the Deads that come in, with the caveat that there's 7 different land names. And then because all the lands enter the battlefield at the same time, they all see each other. So each land triggers off each Field of the Dead. So you end up getting, like, I think the most I've gotten so far is like 42 zombies in one Scapeshift cast. So you play like that. You're also able to play some utility lands. We have a Blast Zone, we have Field of Ruin, a bunch of Scry lands, some life gain lands. So it's pretty useful in that sense. And then there is the combo element of it that you can... So Teferi, you can uptick and then cast Scapeshift on your opponent's end step. You untap and then just smash in with a bunch of zombies. Teferi's a disgusting card in the format. I hate playing against it, but love playing it. So this allows you to tempo play your opponent, kind of just draw it out until you get ahead on mana, and then you can Scapeshift. Hydroid Krasis refills our hand once we kind of drop all our lands. We're playing 28 lands in the deck. And then, so this is basically the version that won the Red Bull tournament. I just made the switch from 2 Time Wipe in the main board to 2 Deputy of Detention. There's a lot of the mirror going around. So having Deputy in the main board actually is a great mirror breaker, because you can exile their zombies or their Hydroid Krasis and then kind of play that way. And then you can also reset your own Deputy of Detention with Teferi. All the games that I kind of had Time Wipe, never really that fond of it. So I do like the Deputy main board a lot better. I might want to go to 2 Field of Ruins as well. It's a good way to turning off your opponent's Field of the Dead. The sideboard itself, I've been basically playing best of 1 game so far, so I'm going to play around with the sideboard a bit. So Veil of Summers versus your Esper decks. So basically Thought Erasure kind of effects. Baffling End versus the aggro decks, just kind of exile their early threats. Root Snare versus like Dinos or anything that's hyper aggressive. Veto versus Controller Nexus. Deputy versus the Mirror, also good against like Nexus as well. Ashiok versus the Mirror. Ashiok's static ability doesn't allow him to search for Scapeshift, plus we can mill them. Binding's a useful card, just get rid of anything that's kind of a combo piece, so like opponents to fairies, basically stuff like that. And then 1 Time Wipe in the side. So I need to learn the sideboard to this, so I'm probably going to make some mistakes as we go along, but wanted to try a little bit more of a competitive deck. So we're gold tier 3 right now, and we'll run it through. Whenever I kind of get to a new rank, I usually just play janky decks at first to test out. So I was trying to make my Yarick Neoform deck work but too much of this Scapeshift deck going. So we'll play first. We're going to mull this hand. We don't have green source. Okay, we'll keep this hand. Probably going to put a root back here. So do let me know in the comments on either the Twitch chat or on YouTube. So this is the mirror, and they're ahead already on mana. It's kind of that point of... Oh, that's actually really good for us. And then we can get Blast Zone going. So pass turn. Next turn we can Elvish Rejuvenator. Hopefully get an untap for Circuitous Route. If there is any like fringe decks you've been playing, fun decks... I'm going to be doing an article on like non-meta decks. That's a great card for the Mirror Breaker here. So here, probably just get Field of the Dead. Just pass turn. Yeah, so I've been playing like a couple non-meta decks, just to see what's kind of still fun. We're in that weird state of Standard where it's coming up to rotation, so just try to play some fun stuff. I've done like a Rakdos mid-range deck that was pretty good. Haven't played it against the current Scapeshift, but you have Rituals, so you have Cry Carnarium, so there's some good options there. So here we don't have any of the Guildgates, so probably just pick those up. Get one of each for our color fixing. No attacks here. So next turn I'm just going to refill our hand with the Hydroid Krasis. And then if we drop a land, we can start getting Field of the Dead triggers. Okay, so opponent's going to get to the board first. Probably going to wait for them to commit a bit more in terms of zombies. Ooh, Scapeshift's good. So Scapeshift for a future turn. No attacks here. So they Prison Realm. I'll probably do a Scapeshift here. So we can probably do both. So let's float a bunch of mana. So one. Okay. Don't. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So let's get the non. So we do need to get a bunch of different ones. Actually, probably should have got Field of Ruin here. That was a misplay. Probably just cool keeping a land here. So this is like turn 6, I think. We got 15 zombies on the board. Yeah, I should have got Field of Ruin. next turn we can refill with a Hydroid Krasis. Even if they have Time Wipe here, we can just Scapeshift again. They got one card in hand. Okay, so this is probably their Scapeshift turn. So they Hydroid Krasis, hoping to dig into Scapeshift. Alright, got him. So Deputy worked in that matchup. So in this matchup, we'll bring in the Ashiok, bring in more Deputies. Probably Binding. Do we want Binding? Probably not. So what are we cutting here? 3 cards to cut. Probably Grow from the Ashes seems the weakest. And this deck's weird to sideboard. Probably like Scapeshift's a great mirror breaker, gets us a bunch of tokens. Maybe just an Arboreal Grazer. That guarantees us a turn 2. Maybe just get rid of a root. I gotta read up a bit more on the mirror, how to sideboard. A little awkward, we can't turn 2 Teferi, but we'll keep this nonetheless. We got the Deputy as well. We have the combination of Teferi and Deputy. Scapeshift's a bit awkward here. Probably just going to Growth Spiral this turn. I want to try to get a couple more lands into play, at least do a mini Hydroid Krasis. Okay, so they have Root. So they're fairly far ahead on mana. That sucks. We don't have the mana for that. That's very awkward. No attacks here. Not the end of the world right now. We can attack into the Ashiok. They got Prison Realm. So we probably lost this one. So we can put this up to 3 this turn. and then crack it next turn if need be. Field of the Root would have been useful. Actually, we should probably play a Memorial to Genius in our deck. We are not drawing what we need to. So I'm gonna crack this now. Don't want to give him another Ashiok. We may have to Scapeshift just to get some white sources. Block here.
This isn't a fight you can win. I've got
Them not hitting field of... they got another Ashiok. So they're playing multiple Ashioks in theirs. The audio for Ashiok always comes in so much louder. Yeah, so they got us that one. Okay. So... might want to go down, cut down Escape Shift, bring in the bindings. Maybe bring a Teferi out, bring in a Baffling End. Try it out like that. The sideboarding, I still don't know. Like I said, I've been playing a bunch of Best of 1 with the deck. And Best of 1, it's actually really good. Probably play a couple games after that. Because your opponent can't really sideboard against you in the Best of 1. And there's no Nexus. This hand's... sweet. We don't... if we could draw an untap land, it'd be a lot better. But we got heavy ramp in this one. So we can Growth Spiral. Ooh, follow that up with an Ashiok. Put a stop on the opponent's end step. Okay, so here I think we just go Root here. Get on ahead on mana next turn because then we can play 2 spells. You and probably just another white source. Because then we can play both. We can bounce this. It gets him another line draw, but or even if we just play Rejuvenator and Ashiok. Okay, so they have the Field of the Dead.
Behold, you will be haunted by this doom.
So I'm gonna go Elvish Rejuvenator first. This plays around Ashiok because it's look. We can just go Temple Garden. And we'll just pass turn here. If they attack in, I'm just going to take the damage. That was fine. Because next turn what I'm going to do is Teferi, bounce my own Elvish Rejuvenator. Yeah, buddy, you can't search. You play Ashiok. So let's start by milling our opponent.
You will be haunted by this doom.
I'm known for my excellent timing.
Gonna return this to our hand.
Let's go.
Scapeshift's not really where we want to be right now. Just take the Blossoming Sands. Pass turn. Put another counter on Blast Zone.
Stand by and watch. Oh, I've done the hero thing.
I'm actually okay with them doing this. It gives us another shot to find Field of the Dead.
I really should have seen that coming.
I do think Ashiok's probably the bigger problem for the deck. Do this now. A little unfortunate we can't go to 3 right now. Oh, they get 2 triggers there. Ah, oh, sweet Field of the Dead. So we do have Ixalan's Binding. I'm going to keep that because that lets us exile their Ashiok. And then we can just Scapeshift. Here they're likely going to attack everything into Ashiok. Oh shit. They can just exile it with Ashiok here. It's fine. We can also just get this onto 3.
This might be a bad idea.
It's gonna die anyways. Do we want to just take some bodies off? Probably just are. So they make any land gives them 2 zombies, so they can do it anyways. If they have a Hydroid Krasis or anything, that's an additional body. Probably no blocks. It's dead regardless. We're at 28 cards. They're at 32. We're going to go to 24 now. Oh, so they opt to not do that. So I'm just going to do this. It lets them kill some of their zombies.
No more games.
Okay, so now probably just float a bunch of mana. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do we just not have enough lands? Oops. We might not actually be able to. Well, that's awkward. We could have done smaller. We actually lose now. We can Hydroid Krasis is technically still a win condition. They put that on 2 though. Well, you learned the deck. That was a misplay. They're at 30, we're at 19.
Right on schedule.
So I'm just doing this. It basically serves as removal. And then I could bounce Teferi.
You just let me know if you're up for round 2.
Ah, well, they had that. Alright, we lost this one. Misplay. Alright, so let's play some best of 1 with it. I've liked it better there. But it's an important note to self. Make sure you know how many lands are in your deck. I think in a normal circumstance, if they weren't milling us with Ashiok for so many turns. Oh, this hand's sweet. This hand is gas. Untap turn 3. So next turn we grow spiral. Okay, so this is likely Rakdos. So we need to be mindful in this matchup. If the opponent has Mayhem Devil, we can't Scapeshift. Mask of Immolation. Arboreal Grazer is a good blocker as well. And we got the Scapeshift. So Boreal will put in the island. And then just gives us blockers for this turn. Blossoming Sands to gain a life. And then next turn we just Circuitous Route and then we Scapeshift if they don't have Mayhem Devil. If they do, then we just grind them out. Even through Mayhem Devil, it might be advantageous to still Scapeshift. Our life total's pretty high. Let's just block like this, force them to sack this if they want. If they want to spend their turn sacking this. Alright. Okay, well they traded a bunch of resources there, which I'm fine with. So we have an Azorius Guildgate, so we can go Selesnya Guildgate, Simic Guildgate here. That gets us 2 zombies. Do they have Mayhem Devil here? They do. Probably just want like a Hydroid Krasis. So realistically, if we Scapeshift, we'd take a bit of damage. I think we can do it. So I'm going to Scapeshift first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so even through that damage, we still beat them. Alright, so I'm going to wrap it up. We got a couple games in there to see the deck in action. This is the one I'm going to be continuing to play in Ranked. But just wanted to get some gameplay video. It's been one that's a tiered deck that I haven't really featured on the channel up to this point. Thanks to those who tuned in live. You can catch any of the replays on my YouTube channel, MTG_Joe. Thanks for watching and have a great one.